Well, hello, baseball fans. We're getting live here. Just going to give a couple minutes here. We'll let everybody join on here, answer any questions they may have. Sorry for the lighting. It's a little dark tonight, so I'll admit to that. But still here to answer everybody's questions, talk MLB baseball, and just doing a bonus stream Friday night. Wanted to first update everybody. We do have our prize vlog going on right now. Just a way to say thank you for going over 500 subscribers. So if you haven't watched that vlog, it's called the Nate Pearson Cameo, Win the Prize. I think it's called Nate Pearson Cameo anyways, or Win a Nate Pearson Cameo. Rambling on here. Make sure you answer the trivia question. You're a subscriber, and we're going to do that draw this Sunday during our live stream. Now, we usually do our live stream shows around, just trying to think here, just making sure I get my chat on there. There we go. At 1:30, but a few people asked if we could push it back this Sunday just because it's the first day of spring training and we got a game on around 1:30. So we can easily do that. So we'll do our live stream show this Sunday at 4 o'clock now. 4 o'clock. Give everybody a chance to watch the spring training. We can chirp about that. And we'll do the draw for the Nate Pearson Cameo. So I'm kind of excited about this one. This is one I would actually want to win. I've been looking at the Cameo thing, and this isn't to promote Cameo in any way. But to get a nice message from one of your favorite MLB players, that's pretty cool. So we'll get into some questions right off the hop. I see one popping up now. Do the Jays sign Odorizzi finally? Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Jake Odorizzi. I guess Jackie Bradley Jr.'s in that same boat. But if we're looking at Jake Odorizzi, I think it's just coming down to years and money. He's just being a little bit stubborn out there. Sort of the last man standing. I'm surprised that both him and Jackie Bradley Jr. have now gone into spring training without actually finding a team. I'm finding that's very surprising to me. That's not something that you want as a player. You can see the videos from Jake Odorizzi online. He's been posting that he is doing a spring training regiment at home. Been very quiet on Jackie Bradley Jr.'s front. But to go back to the question that popped up there, do the Jays finally sign Jake Odorizzi? I still say the Jays are the best bet for them. I know the Phillies have talked about it, but I just don't see it happening. They were too stretched out when they signed JT Realmuto, and that kind of emptied the pot for them, so to speak. So for them and the Phillies, I just don't see Jake Odorizzi going there. Angels are certainly a club that has the money. They need the starting pitching. I mean, the only trade they did to beef up their bullpen was for Alex Cobb. So naturally, Jake Odorizzi would be an upside to that. But it comes down to which team is going to pay Jake Odorizzi for 3 years, maybe 4 years. And I said this right off the hop that he was probably going to be looking for a $45 million 3-year contract. So I'm glad I'm right about that. I guess a pat on the back there, because that's what he's holding out for. I guess the question that Jake Odorizzi now has to contemplate, do I want to go for a 1-year deal, kind of like Marcus Semien has done? Maybe he gets a couple more bucks, maybe even 18 million, close to Semien, and just try to produce and maybe hope that 2022 is a little bit better. The one thing about Jake Odorizzi, though, in doing that is he's not a young guy. So if he's holding off for another year, he's going to be aging into his 30s a little bit more. And if it's an off year above 4.0 in any way, shape, or form, he's not going to get that big contract. Now, am I saying the Jays should shy away from him? No, I don't believe so. If I was a Blue Jays fan, you've kind of boxed yourself into a situation now where you have to sign him. We need some starting pitching, and we'll go into that in a second. And I know I've said that the starting pitching is a bit of a disaster, but I haven't seen too many things outside of Toronto outlets, news outlets, talking anything positive about the Blue Jays. So the Blue Jays, in a way, have boxed themselves in where they have to sign Jake Odorizzi. They can't make a trade now for a starting pitcher, and if they did, they'd have to significantly overpay. We're talking like Biggio leaving. We don't want that to happen if you're a Jays fan either. So Jake Odorizzi is sort of our last chance to get somebody in there who could maybe produce. And if we did get Jake Odorizzi, out of all of our starting pitching, excluding Nate Pearson and Ryu, he's actually the biggest upside there. So, makes you think, how much is he worth for the Jays to have that insurance? If the Jays could get him for 2 years, $32 million, maybe a third-year buyout, I know it might be $35 million. That's high for Jake Odorizzi, $17.5 million bucks, but That might be the price that they have to pay. And yeah, Tommy said it right. He should sign with the Angels. I completely agree. The Angels are a team that sort of makes your head scratch. What's going on with the Angels there? And what do I mean by that? Is they have the talent that they should be a deep postseason team. And they just simply aren't. I can't put it together. And a lot of it comes down to starting pitching. They have one of the most elite lineups in all of baseball, and their pitching just isn't there. And I know that they've had some injuries, they had some gambles, they signed players that they thought were going to be caliber and just let them down. Jake Odorizzi is what they need to do. And I'm actually really surprised the Angels didn't ante up this year. And we'll go into the Angels first before we pivot back to the Jays. I don't know why, just like the Angels, or just like the Jays, the Angels didn't do anything significant to upgrade their rotation. Alex Cobb isn't upgrading your rotation, in my opinion. If you're trading for Alex Cobb, you're trading for an inning eater. You're not trading for somebody who's going to be a 1, 2, or even 3 on your rotation. He's a number 5. And the Angels are in a position now with the talent and the trades that they've made to beef up their lineup. Their fans are expecting a postseason run. And I will go and say, even with the Alex Cobb signing, I do think this is a year where the Angels come up on top. I don't think the Oakland Athletics really have it this year. So I could see the Angels definitely going into a wild card playoff game, whether they win it and they actually get to play meaningful postseason baseball. That's another conversation. But they certainly don't have what it takes if they do get into a 3-game wild card spot, or even the 5 or 7 game as you go deeper into the postseason. The Angels just ain't that team. And it's got to be very frustrating to be an Angels fan and have that talent in your starting lineup and just see you guys miss the playoffs. So, and the Jays might be in a similar situation. The only thing that's decent with the Jays right now is our team is still young. So if we miss out on this season because of starting pitching, it's not the end of the world. These guys are still developing. We still have talent coming up. So there's still plenty of years. What irks me about the Jays is when they did that signing for Marcus Semien, $18 million. To me, that was going all in. We didn't need Marcus Semien. We didn't need his big bat. We could have solved third base in a variety of other ways. I'm not upset about the Marcus Semien signing. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to actually rock for the Jays. And he's a nice insurance piece for shortstop. Not saying anything's going to happen to Bo Bichette, but he is a nice insurance piece nonetheless. And in saying that, though, when the Jays went out and they signed Marcus Semien, to me it was, hey, we're going all in. So how can you go all in and then leave your starting rotation as depleted as it is? And why am I so upset with the Jays starting rotation? It comes down to their walk rates and their abilities to hit the spot. And Robbie Ray was at 17-18%. Steve Matz, 16 to 17%. Tanner Roark, I won't even go into his stats. The point is, 4 of these starting pitchers for the Jays, 20% of the time that they try to throw a strike, it's outside of the zone. That's why they have such crazy walk rates. That's why their ERAs are all over 4, all over 5, close to 6 in some places. Yeah, nobody's talking about that. Tanner Roark, I expect his arm to blow up. Sorry to say it. He's probably going to have an ERA above 5 easily, if he's not yanked for maybe Julian Mayweather, Anthony Kay, or somebody else down the road. Talking about our aces, Ryu and Nate Pearson, I guess they're number 1 and 2, and asking an MLB prospect to be number 2 is just ridiculous. Poor Nate Pearson and the pressure that's on him. But Nate Pearson's going to be 25 starts tops, probably 22. So you're looking for 8 spots to be made up for him. Ryu, if we get 25 starts out of him, everybody says that's amazing. I think he's going to be a little bit longer to rehab for whatever reason he goes down. And he's going to go down. He's been injured almost every single season, but he bounces back quickly, so I'm not worried. But with him getting a little bit older, it just takes a little bit of time to bounce back from these injuries. So if we have to compensate for maybe 7 starts for him and 8 for Pearson, that's 15, 16 starts. That's half a season worth of starts. That now we have to rely on who? Ross Stripling? Anthony Kay, Julian Mayweather to make them up? Or Thomas Hatch? People who I know have a lot of upside, but just aren't MLB proven. And let's remember, Nate Pearson has 18 innings pitched in the majors. Each one of them a disaster, unfortunately. He's never been stretched out except for once over 108 innings, so he's not going to be there come September. He's not going to be a question for the Jays if we make it into the postseason. And if the Jays are lucky to make it into the postseason and we don't have any additions to our starting pitching, that means we got Ryu and then Robbie Ray and, I don't know, Steve Matz as our 1, 2, 3 going into the postseason. Holy smokes. We're going to get smoked out there. And that was my frustration with the Jays. Now, I did do a post today, and it was one of the things that came up. People were asking about Christian Yelich. And a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors have come out recently. Is Christian Yelich going to be traded? And the question to that, for me, is a hard no. Let me have a sip, sorry. And why? Well, the Brewers, they won the steal with the Marlins when they got Christian Yelich. We're not denying that. But they went out and they signed him to that awesome extension. He hasn't had a chance to really get into that extension very deep. And the Brewers are not going to trade him away just because he had an off year, hit 205 in 2020. 2020 as a whole season was just off. Now, if Christian Yelich over 162 games in 2021 does let down, the Brewers miss the playoffs, they trade away Josh Hader, well then maybe Christian Yelich could be traded. Maybe that's a conversation. But it's not a conversation that's going to happen until the 2021 offseason going into 2022. Just how it's going to be. He's certainly not coming to the Blue Jays. And if the Blue Jays are going to be making any mid-season moves this year, I said this in my vlog earlier today, it's going to be pitching, 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 pitching. We have an awesome, solid lineup. I have no complaints about the Blue Jays lineup. In fact, I think it's going to rival the Yankees. We're a lot younger. We're a lot less injury prone, in my opinion. So the Jays are going to go toe-to-toe with the Yankees in regards to offensive production. No question about it. I'll take Biggio and DJ LeMahieu and put them toe-to-toe any day of the week. However, the Yankees do have a better starting rotation, and that's where they're going to win the day. In saying that, Toronto really needs to look at their lineup and say, okay, as we're getting closer to the All-Star break, what pieces can we afford to lose? Whom can we trade out of this lineup without really losing our synergy and without impacting us deeply? And I know a lot of people out there would immediately start to scream, Randall Grichuk, Randall Grichuk. Well, Randall Grichuk, if he gets traded, we're not getting anybody decent in return for him. We're trading away Randall Grichuk to make financial flexibility, lower our payroll going into the 2022 season when there's a plethora of awesome free agents out there. It's the only thing we're doing if we dump Randall Grichuk. And in fact, Randall Grichuk going into 2022 and only making $8 million might be a bit of a steal. We'll just have to see how Randall does this year. But it is somebody in the outfield I could see, like a Teoscar or a Lourdes Gurriel. Not that I want to see any one of those two be traded. But that's where our influx is, and that's where I could see us making a move. We got Austin Martin coming up in probably 2 years. He's going to be playing the outfield, so the Jays are stacked there. If the Jays are going to be moving any of their prospects for somebody come mid-season, in my opinions, it's going to be somebody like Simeon Woods Richardson, maybe Alejandro Kirk, or Randy Tellez. And why these three people? And I'm not saying anything against Tellez or Kirk. I think they're going to be awesome when they come up. But these are players that the Jays can afford to make a trade on if they needed to and still have that awesome lineup from 1 to 9, really not impact their future too deeply, and still leaving top prospects like Jordan Groshans and Austin Martin, Alek Manoah in the lineup to come out and produce. And that goes up to another vlog that I just recently did, and we'll talk about that briefly. There's been some discussion about Nate Pearson and Alejandro Kirk and whether they should be playing on the MLB level this year. Well, I think we got to look at them separately. And if you're looking at Nate Pearson, unfortunately, if he had to go back into AAA and develop, it's not the worst thing for Nate Pearson, but a disaster for the Jays rotation this year. As I said earlier, they're counting on him to be a number 2. Completely unfair, but just the way it is. That's why Nate Pearson, unfortunately, has to continue developing at the major league level. They have to stretch him out. They've been talking about, well, let's just limit him to 3 or 4 innings so that way we can see him all the way in the postseason. Well, that's just silly. One of the things about stretching a starting pitcher out is not just the innings, but it's the starting pitcher learning how to adapt his pitches when he's facing the lineup for the second time. That's what allows a pitcher to be elite. That's what allows the pitcher to sort of get into a situation where he can go deep into innings up to the 7th, 8th, or 9th. So that's what they actually have to do with Nate Pearson. So they got to let him pitch 5, 6 innings, let him get stretched out, let him go that long. That way he can continue to develop. So Nate Pearson definitely has to stay in the majors. However, Alejandro Kirk, totally different situation there. The reason why I say that about Alejandro Kirk, pardon my bulldog, he's snoozing in the background. He finds this chat extremely exciting, like Ernie. But the fact is, Alejandro Kirk, if he's going to be an awesome catcher for the Jays, if he's going to be the catcher who replaces Jano in the future, comes down to this. He's got to be an all-around catcher. So he's got to develop defensively. He's got to learn how to throw base runners out. He's got to learn how to frame pitches. And more importantly, he's got to learn how to build rapport with starting pitching, learn how to develop that role as a catcher, get into the routine. There's a ton of homework in being a catcher. It's very, very important in that situation. And those are the things that the only way he's going to get better at that is if he's playing every 4 days. And I say 4 days because usually in the catching situation, they do 4, they get a day off in the 5-man rotation. So if Alejandro Kirk is up with the Jays this year, and Jano's our primary catcher, that's how it would be, it means that we're only going to give Kirk one chance, 1 every 5, to develop behind the plate. Not good enough. That's why Alejandro Kirk has to go back into AAA, pardon me, and just have a chance to develop. And the reason why is the Jays don't need him in the lineup. The Jays lineup stacked from 1 to 9. Even if Jano and Randall Grichuk are fighting over the 8 and 9 spot, those aren't bad people to have as an 8 or 9 on your lineup. So why not wait, let Alejandro Kirk develop himself defensively, and then if Jano is really sinking, bring Alejandro Kirk back up in, say, late August, September, let him debut officially then, and then that way he gets multiple months to really become a better catcher. So, yeah, I like that, Ernie. Yeah, I was like, maybe I'm just captivated tonight. I see people watching, but nobody chatting there for a while. I was like, maybe I'm just on a good ramble tonight. Yeah, it comes down to, somebody just said, Derek asked a good question. If we're not contending, or if we need to contend, is it Teoscar or is it Lourdes Gurriel? Who do we trade away if we want another big piece for Toronto? It's going to be one of those two. Randall Grichuk's not going to get us a piece in return. I just did a ramble on that. He's just a salary dump. I think it's going to be Lourdes over Teoscar. And the only reason why is Lourdes is a little bit more of a versatile player. He's kind of like Kevin Biggio light. He can play the infield, not well. He plays the outfield. He's meant to be an outfielder. But if we're looking at trade value, he's going to have a lot more upside. That takes a little bit more depth away from Toronto, because sometimes I see Teoscar not only as an outfielder, but as a potential DH there. But for me, I think it's going to be Lourdes, who does get traded out if the Jays need to make a big pivot. And I really think what it's going to come down to is if they don't make a trade by the All-Star break, they're really going to judge those guys. And they're going to decide, okay, who can we trade without impacting? Because maybe they can fill something else in with via free agency next year. And maybe they don't have to fill it in at all. And that's really what it's going to come down to. I know everybody's going to want Kevin Biggio. I just can't see Biggio being traded now for the Jays. He just has so much upside. He's such a versatile player. He's a lot like DJ LeMahieu in a lot of ways, but maybe even more power. And if he gets the chance to really develop, he's going to be a scary player. So I'm not sure whom the Jays are going to make room for on their infield. But Jordan Groshans will come up and he will play the infield, but he's still 2 or 3 years away. So I think right now they're just going to let Simeon play second base. He's the insurance piece for Bo Bichette. And then at the end of the season, it's going to come down to, can Bo play shortstop on a full-time basis? They're going to give him that chance to really play this year. And I know there's been a lot of discussion, hey, he's not good enough. I disagree with that. I think he's just young and needs an opportunity to grow into the position a little bit more. That's my opinion on it. And I think Bo Bichette is actually going to be the Jays' shortstop for the conceivable future. But the Jays are definitely going to be evaluating him. I think that's a little bit why Marcus Semion's here on that one-year contract. Because if Bo Bichette doesn't work out, then they can start discussing, okay, where is Bo going to play in the future? Is he second base material or is he third base? Where does he go? Because Bo Bichette's going to be in the lineup. He's going to be in the infield. He just might not be the shortstop of the Jays' future, but only time will tell. And as I said, I think he will. I think he'll prove his critics wrong, but critics sometimes are always right, so we'll see. Yeah, Teoscar there. I can't wait to see him play this year. They're penciling him in above Vladdy originally. But I guess we should talk about Vladdy here because he lost 42 pounds. Is it 42 pounds? That's what I heard. Unbelievable. I didn't know he was that much overweight to begin with. I knew he was a heavy guy, but I didn't know he was 42 pounds extra heavy. That's for sure. But he looks awesome. And a lot of MLB critics, a lot of MLB writers are penciling him in to go toe-to-toe as the batting title this year. Could you imagine if Vladdy finally arises to Vladdy's level? Plus, we got Teoscar being the beast that he is. Holy smokes. That 1 through 5 for the Jays could be one of the scariest 1 through 5s in all of baseball. So we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, the defense at third, yeah, if you're talking about the Jays, it's going to be interesting. I'm trying to go back, and I was pulling my brain about Kevin Biggio playing third base, how good he was last year. I was trying to find some stats, and I just wasn't able to grab them before the live chat tonight. But I guess this is going to be Kevin Biggio's chance to really prove himself. I think Vladdy might get the odd start at third. It's going to be very, very slim, though. And I think everybody here is already talking with the organization and Vladdy about being the first baseman for the Jays' future. So it's just going to be how Kevin Biggio handles himself over at third. Because the Jays, in regards to moving players to third base, if it's not Biggio, then unfortunately we got to move Bo Bichette there. And if we're moving Bo Bichette, then we're doing a whole shuffle. That means Semion's now the shortstop. That means Biggio's now the second baseman. And it's like a rotating bunch of players. And I know the Jays don't want that, so we'll just have to keep our fingers crossed. But one thing I'm very excited about is Vladdy behind the plate. And I think this is the year that we really see Vladdy become Vladdy. Just want to apologize again. I lost a lighting piece tonight, so I did this on the fly, the live stream. So it's not looking the best, but when we get going for Sunday afternoon, 4 o'clock, we'll get that going. So I'll go for another 5 minutes here on the Friday night. Just wanted to say hi to everybody and just let you know that Sunday's live stream show got moved to 4 o'clock. But make sure you enter the Nate Pearson cameo. That's right. All you have to do is answer a trivia question, be a subscriber. I don't take any of your personal info or nothing like that. And if you're the winner, we'll get that Nate Pearson cameo off to you guys. Wow, Nate, is Brett Lawrie really trying to make a comeback? I just read that, and I was like scratching my head. Brett Lawrie, wow, what an interesting player for the Jays. I saw him come up. I know he was exciting. He was a lot like Stroman exciting, maybe a little bit too much drama at times. And I know a lot of people were scratching their heads when he started to decline there. And he oftentimes gets forgotten about with Blue Jays because when Brett Lawrie left Toronto, that's when the Rainmaker came, talking about Josh Donaldson. So it was really kind of saddening to see Brett Lawrie sort of diminish over in Oakland. And then, just not great. But it'd be interesting to see if he can make a comeback. I know he had some knee problems there at the end. I know his hip was bothering him, but he's always an exciting player to watch. I guess if he was trying to make a comeback, I wonder if he would go over to Asia. And it's interesting because that's one of the things that I was reading about just recently is how the Asian baseball market might be a competitive force for the MLB free agents. Never the big ones, but certainly some of the smaller ones. And we saw that this year with Sagano going back and obviously Masahiro Tanaka. We have Justin Smoke playing over there, Eric Thames. So Major League Baseball over in Asia is really becoming a lot bigger. It'll be interesting to see how that develops over the next couple of years. Yeah, Derek just said the Florida complex looks awesome. And you know what makes me go, so discouraging is I was actually planning on going down to Florida this year. I wanted to see that park so bad. And everything sort of just went up in the air, obviously, with COVID. We won't talk about COVID, but I can't wait to see that complex. It's so exciting. It's so overdue for the Jays organization. And it's nice to see the Jays organization investing in their minor league facilities, because I'm a big believer that if a team wants to be sensational, wants to be a strong team moving forward, then they have to have an awesome farm system. And the best way to have an awesome farm system is to build it up, not only with your players, but with your facilities as well. So we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, thanks for answering that. I was curious, too, how old Brett Lawrie was going to be. Because I knew he was young. I know he left baseball rather quick. Those injuries on him were just brutal. And I was like, yeah, if anybody could turn it around, Brett can, because of his age. So I was curious about that. So thank you, Canadian Sunset, for answering that one for me. And yeah, somebody just said, comfortable with Biggio playing third base. Well, Biggio is going to be this all-around versatile player who can play all positions. Well, then he's going to have to play third base really well. So I'm not as concerned with him over at third base. I guess my concern is one of the things that they liked about Biggio and one of the things they wanted to do was move him around from position to position, be that all-around versatile player like DJ LeMahieu or Ha-Seong Kim, pardon me. He's just got signed with the Padres, very similar. But not too concerned with him playing third base. My concern, though, is if he doesn't produce well at third base, it's going back to that shuffle that I just said a few minutes ago. Means that he's going back to second, and now you're taking Bo Bichette and moving him from shortstop. He wants to play short, and if it's between Marcus Semien or Bo Bichette playing third base, it's Bo Bichette. It's just how it's going to go. Semien's hasn't played a lot of third base, a handful of times in his career. Bo Bichette could really handle it, but I think we're going to do okay. And if Kevin Biggio just isn't cutting it, well, maybe there's something they do, around the All-Star break. I'm not suggesting trading Kevin Biggio, but maybe they address their needs by adding a third baseman at the time. Who knows? Maybe Chris Bryant and Kyle Hendricks will be available. Would love to get Kyle Hendricks into a Jays uniform. I said all around, he looks just like Ryu. He's only had an ERA over 3.5 once in his career. He is a solid pitcher, $50 million, basically the same price as Jake Odorizzi if he comes over to the Jays. So yeah, I could see why the Jays maybe are holding off on not signing Jake Odorizzi. I think maybe they're just going to hold off to the All-Star break, wait till late June, early July, and just hope that they're still in the running. And my biggest fear with the Jays there is I just hope that the hole isn't too deep, that we can bat ourselves, bat some wins in there. And what I mean by that, if we're going to be letting in 6 runs, then we got to score 8. But if there is one lineup that can score 8 runs and make up a 6-run deficit, it's the Jays this year. So it's not how we want to win games, but I guess how we might have to, at least till the All-Star break. So I'm going to close up here. Just wanted to thank everybody who jumped on here for our quick Friday chat. So really appreciative of the support. Wanted to come on and just let you guys know that the Sunday chat's been moved to 4 o'clock. Everybody wanted a chance to watch the Jays game, and I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. So we'll do the live chat 4 o'clock after the first spring training game. We can all get on here, tell us our thoughts, see how good Vladdy goes, see some of the younger prospects maybe that we get to see pitch. That first game for spring training is always a funny game. It's like every second inning, you're seeing a whole new squad go out there. So I'm curious. Can't wait to see it. Exciting to have baseball back. I think it's going to be a great season. More importantly, I hope everybody's staying safe out there. Make sure you tune in on Sunday. And make sure you enter that Nate Pearson vlog. We'll do that draw Sunday afternoon as well. Stay safe, everybody. We'll talk soon. Bye now.